Let's see. Yes. Awesome. We are officially live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Chiropractic Compass podcast, brought to you by the legendary Chiropractor online community. Tonight is another one of those super special nights, super special moments that I get to share with a DC2B across, not necessarily across the country, but I guess in a neighboring state, we'll say. But we are sitting down tonight with Charles Thomas Tucker III, and he is a chiropractic student at Sherman College of Chiropractic. He is absolutely crushing it right now. I know he's rocking clinic. I know he's rocking his fraternity. I know he's rocking all ties on Tuesday. I know it's Wednesday. But ties on Tuesday, I was like, I can't have Chuck show me up tonight. That can't happen. That can't happen. So without further ado, Chuck, or Charles rather, I would love for you to give a brief background of who you are, where you come from, and how really you found, or chiropractic rather, found you, right?
All right. Well, just as Johnny said, my name is Charles Tucker. I'm an 11th quarter student at Sherman College. I went to University of South Carolina originally for athletic training. Kind of fell out of love with that. Then I decided to go back to school for massage therapy. So I did that, and then that's where I landed my job at a chiropractic office for about 4 years. I was working as a massage therapist. When I first got there, I was like, hey, I want to go to PT school. You know, I just want to get some experience. And the chiropractor there was like, no, you're not. You're going to chiropractic school. And I was like, no, you're crazy. I'm going PT school. I told you that's where I'm going. So long story short, she started showing me a lot of things about chiropractic, and then firsthand, I got to see people just get better from chiropractic, and that's kind of how I got into it. Like I tell people, I don't really have like a story personally to me, but I got to see personal stories day in and day out working in a chiropractic office. So that's my purpose and my why, is because I want to give people that same kind of feeling. I want people to be able to go back to work, back to playing with their kids, and it's a better way for them to do that. So that's kind of how I got into chiropractic, and it's going to go into our topic today as well, why I chose the topic that we did today. So just stay tuned.
Awesome. I love it. Let me get some words on the screen here, and some logos out there. Perfect. Rock on. And so with that being said, I would love to quickly do a quick shameless plug. Head to, if you are a chiropractic student or chiropractor, I want to emphasize, like I did last night when I interviewed Taylor and Haley, who are going out and going to crush it, Charles is going to do the same exact thing. And if you are a chiropractic student, he is going to drop value bombs tonight. And I promise you to stick around for the entirety of this episode, for the entirety of this podcast, because he has nothing but love in his heart and value and knowledge to share. So stick around with us and quickly head to thelegendarychiropractor.com. It is linked in the description above, so be sure to go check that out and find everything that you need for chiropractic as a chiropractic student to be successful. So, Charles, with that being said, let's dive right into our topic. Our topic for tonight is leading the wave and how to make an impression in this profession. And here's the cool thing, Charles, is the fact that we are chiropractic students. Neither of us are doctors yet. You are a licensed massage therapist, but neither of us are doctors of chiropractic yet. And I think this is so raw and real. And we were just talking a little bit off camera how, you know, it's fun to interview people who are 20, 30, 40 years out of chiropractic school and in the trenches, grinding away, adjusting patients, saving their communities. But it's so awesome to, like, meet up and talk with DC2Bs and chiropractic students that are doing the same exact thing, but pertaining to academia and trying to pass boards and trying to pass classes and getting out in chiropractic, but also spreading the word, which I think, and I know, following you on Facebook, you do a phenomenal job of spreading the chiropractic world, the chiropractic word, spreading, you know, sharing your family love and everything like that. So it's awesome to see. So I love interviewing DC2Bs and fellow peers and colleagues and soon-to-be colleagues. And so, Charles, let's dive into this. What does this topic mean to you? What does making an impression in the profession mean? And how do we lead the wave of doing that as chiropractic students?
Well, it kind of starts all the way back to when I first got into chiropractic, and it goes back to the previous professions that I explored as well. Even in those professions, I thought I was supposed to act a certain way or be a certain way, and that's what kind of drew me to chiropractic, because I feel so free in this profession. I feel like I can be myself. I can be authentic. I don't have to sugarcoat anything. I just pretty much give people the real. So that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this the way, is leading the wave, being different, being yourself. And that's where I want to kind of go into that. Kind of tell people you were made to be different. If we were all the same, life would be boring. This profession would be boring. Your profession that you're in would be boring as well. So we were made to be different. And when I say that, I'm not saying that you have to be a rebel or go against the whim on anything. Basically, it's like-minded individuals with different walks of life and different ways to handle situations when they see patients. I may see a patient, Johnny, that you see. They may not jive with you whenever they come in for chiropractic care, but they come to me, they're like, oh, I love Dr. Charles. Not saying that you're a bad chiropractor, it's just who you vibe with and who you jive with the most. And that's where I kind of wanted to go with that, is leading your own way, not being in a box, a certain way of doing chiropractic, because chiropractic is huge. Chiropractic works. Chiropractic can be done in so many different ways. It's just how you interpret it and how you want to express that. And I also want to add that chiropractic is more of a personality-driven profession within itself, and that likability factor that I just talked about. One person may like me when they come into the clinic, or they might like another intern. To me, as long as they're getting chiropractic care, that's what I want. And that's the kind of impression that I want to have on this profession, is not getting into our like selfish ways of saying like, oh, well, they're not with us, but so forget them. But if they're going to another chiropractor, all to it, man. That's where I'm at with it, is making that kind of impression on people whenever they get into chiropractic care.
Absolutely. You absolutely went over everything. Like, I was writing frantically because I was like, I know, yeah. I knew these points were going to come up, and I'm so glad you hit them right on the nose at the very beginning. So talk to us a little bit more about being yourself. How do people really step into that? And then I'll follow up. I have some things written down that I want to get to later, but talk to us about how do you really step into yourself, especially when you're surrounded by, the same people, the same type of people all the time. We call it the chiropractic bubble, right? So talk to us a little bit about how you step into truly yourself and being authentic.
You have to realize a lot of times with anything, not even just this profession, you can think about fashion, you can think about sports. Trendsetters' journeys are not easy. They are not easy. Somebody that's going out of the norm and going into something that a lot of people don't see as beneficial, but we know ourselves are beneficial. That's just like if somebody wanted to wear Jordans, like the first pair of Jordans, everybody's like, man, those are ugly. But then somebody else wears them, they're like, oh, I like those. Oh, I like those too. So that's you starting that trend and being an outcast at first, saying wearing ugly shoes, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, man, I really like those shoes. So it's kind of like that with chiropractic, because us going into this profession, we're already different. Us becoming chiropractors is very different than what our upbringings are and what society really thinks about chiropractic in general. So anytime you're going against the norm, it's not going to be easy, but you have to stay true to what your goals are and what your purpose is, and that way it will be easy. It'll be easy stepping into that. It'll be easy hearing the no's. It'll be easy hearing the, oh man, that stuff doesn't work kind of situation that you come into, and then that way it'll be easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I love that you said that. We are already different, right? And I did a podcast interview, not only personality-wise we're already different, right? Mm-hmm. But also chiropractic-wise, which is what you mentioned, the context in. And chiropractors are different. We are a different healthcare provider. We're a conservative healthcare provider. Some like to say alternative healthcare provider. Whatever term you choose to use, that is differentiating us from the rest of the pack. So it's like we really have to own that. And I think once we do own that, we can really step into leading the charge by being ourselves, right? And it's like however you communicate chiropractic, it's still chiropractic. If you're still adjusting the spine, you're still addressing the root cause of disease or dis-ease rather. And so it's like we are different, but we're also very alike. And I talked with I talked with Travis Corcoran, Dr. Travis Corcoran, a little while ago, and he was like, he was like, people are always like, we chose to be chiropractors, and he's like, why don't we rephrase that? And you chose to be a chiropractor. You know why? Because you are different, right? Like you already went against the grain, which led you to chiropractic. Like that, people don't already just like walk into chiropractic and be like, yeah, this is for me. And it's like, you chose this profession, you chose the struggles that come with it. And I love that you brought that up. So talk to us a little bit about what are some different ways a student, specifically a chiropractic student, can go further into like extracurriculars to better themselves so they can better their patients?
Good question, actually. As you all know, there's different clubs on campus. What we do at our school, and I'm pretty sure, I think you guys do it at Life too, it's kind of like a club day, where basically all the clubs basically show what they do, what they're about, and everything like that. So I encourage any student to go to those, even if you're in first quarter, second quarter, all the way 10th quarter, you still haven't found a club, please still go to those clubs, because what those clubs do is, like you said before, we're all different. We all come from different walks of life, and the chiropractic program is strenuous. If there's a bigger word for strenuous, then I want to find it and I want to use it. But you have to find someone who is in the same lane as you and have the same mindset as you, because you two are going to encourage each other, and also you'll have like I said, those like-minded individuals, but at the same time, you're learning about different types of people. You're learning about people from different walks of life. You may have somebody who is rich. You may have somebody who has struggled their entire life. But the thing is, you're making those connections with each other, and you're learning from each other with those situations, and then that helps you whenever you become a chiropractor and you walk into your clinic and you're meeting that person who comes in and says, oh man, I really can't afford care. And you have that empathy, like, oh man, I had a guy in one of the clubs that I met when I was in school. They had the same kind of situation. So I feel his pain. I know where he's coming from. So you have that empathy whenever you see patients. So that's how you can kind of stand out with chiropractic, is that you know how to handle different situations when it comes about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that you said surround yourself with like-minded people, and you really have to, like chiropractic school, we just talked about it early on, but it's kind of like this chiropractic bubble, right? You're around the same people, you're around the same cohort, and you move throughout the program together, and a majority of you stay together and graduate at the end together, depending on how big your school is. I know chiropractic schools vary all over the place with the number of students that are actually in each class, but surrounding yourself with other like-minded students and individuals is so important. But I also want to mention that it is so critical to challenge each other and challenge each other in the art, in the science, and in the philosophy of chiropractic. Because if you don't question things and get the answers now while you're in chiropractic school, who are you going to rely on? Like, everyone, when you graduate, is going to be busy doing life. We hit reality. Like, this reality wall is on the other side of the graduation stage, and it's like we all smack into it at the same freaking time, or actually in alphabetical order if you want to do that. But you walk right into this reality wall, and then everyone's busy and occupied with their lives. So ask the important questions now, which is why I believe that, like, this podcast and people like you doing things on campus to promote chiropractic and the helping this chiropractic student education experience, I suppose we can call it, is so critical to our education as chiropractic students. And it's awesome that you said surround yourself with like-minded people, but I also want to pose a challenge of, like, start asking the hard questions, because when you get out of school, or even when you're in clinic, that you're going to get patients that ask you questions that you do not have the answers to. And you're either going to say, no, I don't know, or you're going to say, I'll look it up and I'll do my research and I'll get back to you in a little bit. So I want to transition into that a little bit. What is your communication style with patients in clinic and attracting patients to come see you in clinic? I'm not sure how the exact system works at Sherman, but talk to us a little bit about your communication style while it being in clinic.
The communication style. So the way our clinic is set up, you have to go out and get 5 original patients. to me, I feel like that is like the best experience and the best nugget that you can take from clinic. Is going out there meeting people. That community interaction is key. But at the same time, you have to be ready for that. One thing that a lot of students are really skeptical about is hearing the word no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, though, you're going to hear 50 no's before you hear that those 2 yeses, and you have to be ready for that. But in order to prepare yourself for that, you have to be rooted in the philosophy. You have to be rooted in the science, and you have to be rooted in the art. If you're top notch with those, and you're key with yourself, and you also know your purpose, everything kind of just comes into play. Like I said, that community interaction, it helps you to meet those new people. Like I was saying before, going to those clubs, you meeting different type of people when you're in school, with just automatically, because we all come from different walks of life. You meet those people in the community, you already have met somebody that is just like that person. So you're like, oh, that reminds me of so-and-so. I know how to talk to them, or I know how to engage with them. So it kind of helps you. It helps those first jitters of meeting somebody new, because a lot of people really don't like meeting new people. Unlike me, I really like meeting new people.
Right, yep.
But no, it's that fear of meeting new people. And the thing is, you have to meet these new people so that they know the truth about chiropractic, and you're getting them under care, and they're subluxation free, and they're free of disease. You have to give them the truth. This is what people are missing, and this is what you have to almost put on your big boy pants and say, like, or big girl pants, I'm sorry, and get out there, and you got to tell people what they're missing.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, why would we keep this secret of chiropractic? Like, it shouldn't be the best kept secret. Healthcare, natural healthcare, and natural ways of doing things and approaching the body should not be kept a secret. And that is so important to understand as a chiropractic student, and I'm so glad that you said that. I wrote it down and circled it. You have to be rooted first. You have to be ingrained in the philosophy, the art, and the science prior to going out and communicating the message of chiropractic, because that will show, and that will show not only your confidence and what you know, but also it'll be able to back you up and act as a foundation when you do get those denials, right? It's not, oh, no, I'm not interested in chiropractic, and then you jump in with like green book after green book after green. It's like, that's not what they want. It's like denial, boom, okay, I'm smart enough to say, okay, communication takes about 7 to 8 times of exposure in front of that person before they buy something that I'm offering. Therefore, right, like I'm going to see that person again. That was the first time I planted the seed. They said no. Next time I see them, I'm going to ask how they're doing. I'm going to ask about their family. I'm going to ask about topics not necessarily related to chiropractic. And then that's going to offset that conversation a little bit. And then it's the third time or the fourth time or the fifth time. That's when you start talking chiropractic again. And I find that best with family. Like, I don't know how you've been with communicating chiropractic to family. It's like one of the hardest things in the world. Like, everyone knows you're going to school to be a chiropractor, but nobody understands like how chiropractic works, or to your knowledge, right? And you're like, I just want to tell you everything. It's like, Mom, let's have spaghetti. Like, let's sit down, let's eat, and chat about chiropractic. But that's not what people want, and that's definitely not what your family wants. Your family comes from it's got to be a different approach, and you have to understand that. And I wanted to segue this way, and the fact of denial, right, in the no's, and getting plenty of them. If you could get 100 denials and 1 yes, and guess what, guys? You changed that one person's life for the rest of their life. So don't ever get down on yourself. And I would argue, and you might agree with me on this one, Charles, that denial is helps you step into your true self, right? It helps you realize, like, oh, wait, maybe like I could change that communication style, or I could change the way I delivered that, or I can, and you start molding yourself into, this real, raw, authentic person when you hit that reality wall that's like, boom, now you know who you are, you know how to communicate, and you're ready to rock and roll. Would you agree with that?
I would totally agree with that. That, like you said, hearing that no, it helps you, like, okay, did I get too scientific on them, or Did I dumb it down too much? So you kind of find that medium. Because I know my first time talking to somebody about chiropractic, I started going, neurons go here. And I was talking all kind of, and it was just like, what are you talking about? Like, you're losing me. So I was like, okay, do not give them verbal diarrhea. Do not give everything that you've learned from quarter 1 to quarter 8. And just kind of get it more toward, make it more personal to them. So say they have, I really don't like talking about pain, but say they do have low back pain, but you kind of gear away from the low back pain and say, okay, what is that low back pain stopping you from doing?
Yes.
And then when you start talking about like them not being able to play with their kids, or them not being able to play flag football on the weekends like they used to, like you start to tap into something that's personal for them, and then they start valuing the fact that this low back pain is stopping me from living my life. And that's what I like to tell people about chiropractic, is chiropractic is adding years to life and life to years. So when you do that and you add value to something that's very important to them, that's top priority, then they'll get it. You don't have to go in and say get scientific with them. You can just keep it simple. You can just say, hey, your nervous system is not functioning the way that it needs to be. Chiropractic can help you do that. Are you on board?
Yes, I absolutely love everything that you just said. And it's like, it's people, and I wrote down when you were talking, because it's so important to realize, like, people make decisions, not, I would say majority of decisions, I don't know the exact percentage, but I would argue like 80-90% of decisions are based off of emotions, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can correlate, and I'm not saying this is some, bait and switch trickery. No, this is selling the chiropractic message. And it's so important to be able to communicate chiropractic appropriately, that if you are able to tie these into activities of daily living for them, or even their golf game or their tennis game or playing with their grandkids, and just now it's about function. And they start to get away from that pain-based model of like, I have a symptom, I go in, I get treated. I have a symptom, I go in, I get treated. No, now my life is actually being affected by these things, right? And like, we all know that 10% of your nervous system is pain, like only 10% of it. So it's like, if we know that, right, and we can play on the emotions and we can emphasize the emotional component for these people and really start talking chiropractic, that is what people want to hear. And I love that you brought that up. I'm so glad. And I want to tie that right into what you said at the beginning of this episode that I said we would get to. And you were like, the leading your own way, and chiropractic being extremely personality driven. I will agree with that 100%. 100%. Because we are personality driven. Now you have to have your systems and your procedures and your operations all in place, right? Like we get that practice component. But the first level of marketing, any marketing, external marketing, is attraction. What you are putting out into the world, your energy, your aura, whatever you want to call it, is going to come back to you, right? So talk to us a little bit about how you can, tap into your personality and then really start attracting those correct clients or correct patients that like are your ideal client, right? That ideal client that we all wish we had, right?
So leading, so that's why I kind of chose that leading the wave as like the first part of this topic is when I'm talking about leading your wave, I'm not saying like you need to lead and you have a bunch of followers. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you create your own path. You have your own practice. You have your target person that you want to come in. You have like-minded individuals who you can talk to while you're in practice, and you guys are leading people to something that they need. I like the reason why I chose wave is I kind of like to compare it to the ocean. So when you have the ocean, it's a big body of water, all the water there. Say you're one molecule of that water. Your purpose is to bring that water to the shore, bring that wave to the shore. Now, if you're not rooted in the philosophy, you're not rooted in the art, you're confused, you don't know where you want to go, you don't know what type of patient you want to do, what's going to happen is instead of you going to the shore and bringing people chiropractic, you're going to get into a rip current, which is basically just going to come back, and you're just going to be right back where you started from. So you're going to be in a constant circle of treading water or just staying in one spot, and you're not going to get people the message that you need to get. So you have to be strong in those three that I just talked about. You have to know what you want to do. You have to know your personality. You have to know what type of people you want to bring in, and you have to know how you want to talk to those people as well. And I feel like a lot of times in chiropractic school, you don't know that when you first come up. So that's why a lot of people are like, why do they keep asking us about our purpose? Why do they keep asking about our why? That why and that purpose is what's going to drive you to know what direction you want to go in. That's your foundation. So that's where you know, this is the reason why I'm doing this, and this is why I feel like everybody should be under chiropractic care. And that's going to make you want to study more. That's going to make you want to, like you said, read the green books more, get more into philosophy. It's going to make you want to go practice setups every day. It's going to want you to pass boards first time. And it makes you want to study even harder because you're like, I have something that I'm trying to get to. I have a destination that I know I need to work hard for now so that when I do get out in the field, I can attract as many people as I need to come to chiropractic.
Absolutely, yeah. And I love your ocean and molecule metaphor. That is great. That analogy kind of sets the stage for what I want to talk about with you. And I want to get two DC2B's opinions on this because it's so critical to the future of our profession. And that's what we're all about, right? With the Chiropractic Compass podcast, the Legendary Chiropractor, Chiropractic Student Alliance, you name it, like all of it is to better the students now so that when they get out, we were just talking about this off camera, they are the best doctors they can possibly be because they were extremely successful in chiropractic school, not in all three categories, science, art, and philosophy. And that is so important to me because I had that kind of upbringing myself, and I want to be able to provide that for other people. So it's like, and I know you're right in that same boat with me. So as an ocean, right, you said we're one molecule of that wave, right? And we're our job is to bring that wave to the shore, right? And so I want to talk about all of, our sisters and our brothers that are molecules next to us, right? That are also having to bring themselves to and the whole entire wave to the shore, right? And I think that is so important. And I kind of broke apart your metaphor, but I also think that's where you were going with it. So if I'm wrong, you let me know. But at the same time, working together in chiropractic is so freaking important. And it's like you can be your own personality, you can be different, you can be your own office and have your own patients and loved ones that come in and absolutely love you, what you do, and everything. But at the same time, you cannot be bashing other chiropractors. You cannot be, booing the schools. You can't be blaming other people on all of this stuff because we have to work together because that wave of molecules of chiropractors and that shore, I think of representing the public, right? It's like we need to get there, and we're like here. We if anything, we're like here, right? It's like we need to be here and coming down, and you know what I'm saying? So that's where I think. So talk to us a little bit about how do we not? You don't have to solve world peace in one sitting here, Charles, but how do we better communicate with one another to start loving on one another in chiropractic to move this profession forward?
I think what you said, we have to work together. We have to. We don't need to think of it as a competition. We need to collaborate with each other. Like I said, when you get into these clubs, you get into your small groups when you're on campus, those like-minded individuals are thinking the same way that you're thinking, and you guys have a common purpose and a common destination. You want to help these people. You want to get people chiropractic, but at the same time, you can't say like, oh, you go do your own thing in this town or whatever, and I'm going to do my own thing. That's not what I mean by being different. I mean the personality part of being different.
Exactly.
Don't be different to the point where you're like, oh, I really don't like the way that they practice. I mean, the thing is, they're getting results. They're seeing people. They're giving people the chiropractic goods. So why does it make it better for you to downplay what they're doing because it doesn't jive with what your philosophy is? Or not, I wouldn't say philosophy. I don't want to use that as a big word, but more of your way of thinking, I should say.
Yes.
You know, like I said, if you continue to bash people, the public sees that. The public sees us talking about each other. The public sees us saying, like, oh, you went to that chiropractor? Yeah, he's not a good one. You should come to me. Like, no. You should say, hey, maybe that wasn't a chiropractor for you. I'm going to give you my all whenever you come in for care.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk about the next chiropractor.
Yep.
That's just going to continue to make our profession just spiral down. And it goes back to what I was saying about that rip current. If we have a bunch of chiropractors who are confused, who are competing against each other, we're never going to make it to that show. We're just going to continue to just spiral in the water, stay right here in the water, and never make it to the shore. So,
yeah. That was a great answer, and I'm so glad, because it's such a big question. But I love to get the DC2B's, understanding with where we're at right now in society, in the public, in school, and specifically where we're at in chiropractic schools, because we have a lot of inner fightings when it comes to doctors out in the field, but we also, like, a lot of people have to realize, like, there's a lot that goes on in between chiropractic schools, and that also needs to stop. Like, that's where the Chiropractic Student Alliance, I was like, we're taking this thing international. Like, we got New Zealand, Mexico, like Switzerland, you name it. I was like blown away by the people that were coming into that. And that is what this is all about, is collaborating, like you said. And it's not about bashing other people. It's about doing what you do, ethically and morally correct, and getting the results through chiropractic care, and then turning around and saying, if somebody doesn't like you, and we're going back to the denial thing, right? Like, if somebody doesn't like you or me, it's like, okay, I know Charles. He's a great chiropractor. Maybe you'll jive better with him. Based off of your energy and presence and, like, everything going on, I think maybe you'd be better with him. And that, you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that. It doesn't matter if it does the same technique. You have to know people's personalities, especially the chiropractors who are surrounding you. Because if you can't help them, the next best thing to do would be to refer. Why don't we try to refer to each other and refer to other chiropractors before we immediately jump to the worst case scenario and the worst conclusion? Because our stiff minds and huge egos say, I couldn't do it, so nobody can do it. Like, that's not how we help people. And so, last but not least, Charles, I want to talk to you about family. I know you're a huge family guy. I know you can share news if you want, but I know you're a big family guy. And so, how is that going through chiropractic school? Talk to us a little bit about, like, not only, talk to us about your intimate family, right? And those that are there with you through chiropractic school, but also, like, obviously your mom, dad, and everyone like that. And so it's really important that I think people see a family person that's able to take on the rigor of chiropractic school and the workload that it is and it takes, and the effort and energy that go into it. So talk to us a little bit about family. Why is it so important? And how do you balance that with chiropractic school?
Oh, man. So first off, I couldn't even hold back my smiles. I was like, when is he going to let me talk about my wife? My wife is amazing, y'all. Like, I probably could not have done what I've done in school without her. Like, her motivation, her saying, baby, you can do this. Like, this is what you want to do. Like, having that in your corner. I know a lot of times we talk to patients and we ask them about, there's one part on our oswestry form that's like, do you have someone to talk to? And whenever I see my intern, I'm like, yes, I have someone to talk to. I have someone that knows what I'm going through. Like, I promise, without her, I probably could not have done any of the things that I've done. And then also, my parents are on here watching too. My dad texts me, my mom texts me, like, you still going on live? I was like, yeah, we're getting ready to start. Just having those people in my corner, they actually come in. They are helping me with my clinical experience. So having them come in, having my wife in my corner, and then both in November, December, we're not sure. The twins will be here. We're having twin boys, so they will be here, and I'm pretty sure they'll be fired up about chiropractic too. They'll be at graduation, hopefully screaming dad. Hopefully they'll be talking about dad. I'm not sure, but like I take time, like you said, the balance. I take time out of have a school schedule to say, hey, this is time I need to be with my wife. And I know a lot of students at Sherman know that. Anytime I say, oh, you want to go there? I was like, nope, got time with my wife. I make it known because I want people to know that I do have that balance, and that without her, I really couldn't be doing what I'm doing in the program now. Even with my family and my wife's family, we don't live too far from them, so we try to make it there on weekends, and then I try to go to my parents on weekends, and my parents come up here. So having that balance and having that family with you, even if you're not close to your family, like as far as distance, even that phone call, a phone call goes a really long way, not only for that person that you called, but for yourself. Taking your mind off of school for 20, 30 minutes will probably be the most refreshing thing you can do. I know me and my wife have a rule that we'll call, because I have a commute. I have about a 35, 40-minute commute. I'll call her on my way, and we'll just talk about, like, man, this today at school, man, I couldn't believe that happened or whatever. But we have that rule that once we both hit that driveway, it turns off in the family. And I don't try it. And sometimes it slips up just because I am still a little peed off about something that did. So, hey, remember I was just talking about that? And she's like, nope, remember, we're not going to talk about work, we're not going to talk about school, we're just going to have time for it. And that's having that intentional time with your loved ones. And that'll definitely help you with that balance with school and personal life.
Yeah, for sure. And I love you're not the first person to say, like, we have a time, like once we hit the driveway, that's it, and obviously, yeah, you slip up and stuff, and it's okay. But it's also important to have somebody, like you said, to go to and rely on and to get help from and knowledge and say, even because you could be, chiropractic school is very tough. And it's like, when you are in the lowest of low moments, you got to have somebody, no matter if it's a best friend, a family member, a loved one, no matter what it is, you find somebody who's your accountability partner, right? Like that person that really, understands what you're going through, is living it with you, and kind of through you, because sometimes, you're screaming through the phone and they're like, I felt like I was there, like that was, that was like, I took that test and, didn't do so hot. So like that's, but you have to have that. And I'm so glad that we got to talk about that, because I knew you were a huge family man, and I'm so happy for you and your wife and your kiddos that are coming. I'm so excited to eventually one day meet them, hopefully, and so meet you in person. Yeah, exactly. I was like, when we first hopped on this call, I was like, Charles, nice to virtually meet you. It's like, I got nothing else, but yeah. So Charles, thank you so much. We're coming up on 37 minutes here, and I want to just wrap up. Do you have any last minute things that you'd like to say, that you'd like to share, things that people can attend on Sherman's campus, like anything that you want to throw out there? Please feel free to just drop your knowledge and drop your value.
No, just wanted to kind of say I have a couple of people who kind of tapped into this live call, and I don't want you to think that this is all about chiropractic. You can take exactly what I just said and have it with your profession. You could be a massage therapist, you can be an accountant, you can be a lawyer. Like, being different in your field will make you stand out, and people will like you more.
Yes.
If you're in a box and you're that same person, you're just like the person down the street, they're going to say the same thing. They're going to be like, oh, man, you're just like that person down the street. And if they have a bad experience with them, they're going to be like, I'm going to have the same experience with you as well. So I wanted to challenge people to be different, be yourself. Like, don't think that you have to be a certain way in anything that you do. Stand out. Go against not be a rebel, but go against the grain. Like, go against something that people are like, oh, that's not normal. Like, don't do that. Like, go against the grain. And I really don't have anything, like, as far as, like, shouting out or anything.
That's
like
all right. That's all right.
Talent Tuesday, just kind of want to talk about that just a little bit. Talent Tuesday started in 2018. Basically what it was is to encourage young men about professionalism, self-worth, and just being, like I said, being yourself and being able to be yourself in a professional way, to the point where you're exemplifying that professionalism without even being dressed a certain way or acting a certain way. It's really about your character. And I kind of wanted to give them kind of a pick-me-up or a boost, and see other people, not only in, chiropractic, because I'm a chiropractor, but I have friends who are House of Representatives. I have friends who are owning Chick-fil-A, who become ministers. Like, seeing them in a professional light and seeing, like, oh, I can be just like that, but be myself. Because these guys look normal to me. Like, they're just everyday kind of guys. So I kind of wanted to encourage that for younger men. I actually have a young fellow who he started middle school, and I like talking about his name's Christian, and his dad is in my fraternity, and he saw my picture, and he was like, oh man, I want to wear ties to school too. He was the only kid wearing a tie on the first day.
That's
so he was like,
awesome.
This is weird. So then now people was like, oh, Christian, you're the guy that wears tie on Tuesday. So he had teachers doing it. He had faculty doing it. He had other students doing it. Now he's at the middle school. No one even knew who he was. Had 3, 4, 5 people already wearing ties. Like, hey, I heard you that guy on Tuesday that wears ties. So that's the kind of impact that I wanted to make with that. It's kind of just show that professionalism and that self-worth and, like, just being different, just stepping out there and going against the grain. So
yeah,
that's all I got with that, man.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. I just because I love my 2 favorite parts of the whole entire show are the beginning when somebody introduces themselves and just gets to kind of talk about themselves, because to be honest with you, like, we don't really talk about ourselves that often. We go to school, we come home, we sleep, we eat, we get up and do the same thing over again, and it's like we don't oftentimes get to talk about ourselves. So it's really cool to have doctors of chiropractic, or soon to be rather, on the show. And then my second favorite part is the last part, when like people get to fill us in on whatever they're doing or why they're doing it, right? Like, no matter if it's an event, if it's a coaching program, if it's a new platform for chiropractic, I love it because I see your face, I see your passion, I see this light up, man. It's amazing. So you, Charles, you have made an impact in not only that one kid's life, but you have made an impact in multiple people's lives, and I absolutely love it. I love the idea, and what you said about this podcast and this live. It's not just for chiropractic. Yeah, it might say the Chiropractic Compass podcast and the legendary chiropractor, all that stuff, but this is a podcast, and these values and knowledge and what do I want to say, like, details can be applied, like you said, to any profession, and any person can use these in their personal, professional, and educational lives, no matter where they are on their journey. And so I love that you brought that up, because that hasn't yet been mentioned on the show, and it's so important to take that away and be like, okay, if I am somebody listening who's not a chiropractor or who has no interest in chiropractic school, it's okay. You can still learn insane stuff and insane value on and content on this podcast. And I'm so happy that you brought that up, especially with Charles Thomas Tucker III on the podcast, baby. That's when you learn. That's when you learn the most. So awesome. Rock on, Charles. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for being on the show. Thank you for, I was like, hey, who wants to be on the show? Boom. Your hand shut up a couple other people's, and I'm like, let's do it, right? Like, let's get you guys on. Let's start talking, and this is so amazing. So thank you for being on the show. Say hi to your wife. Say hi to your kiddos when they arrive, obviously. Yes, thank you so much for being here. Everybody that's still watching, please head to thelegendarychiropractor.com for everything chiropractic that you could ever imagine to be as successful as possible, either as a prospective chiropractic student, current chiropractic student, or even a recent graduate. So thank you all so much for watching, and thank you for being a part of this journey and the Chiropractic Compass podcast. Charles, I salute you, and I thank you so much for being here, being on the show, and drawing the crowds of people and helping people through chiropractic. I love it, Charles. Have a great night, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Bye now.
Yeah.